Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 17th of December. My name's Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Peer.
And Gary, we're in the final episode of GPTV for 2013. Who would have thought we would have got through to, what are we, 102, 103, 105, 200 episodes?
Yeah, 103.
103 episodes. Who would have thought we would have got through to this number? And who would have thought that 2013 would have finished so strongly?
Unbelievable, Phil. The weekend that we've just had has been incredible because we're seeing that perfect storm, Phil, where you've got volume and demand. So supply and demand both high, unusual.
Well, Gary, before we deconstruct the marketplace, I'm pretty excited because we're filming our last episode at one of our favourite restaurants, our favourite cafes. We're at Cafe Latte in Malvern Road in Hawkesbury.
Cucina Pugliese.
We'll get to that in a moment. It's
It's
actually Cafe Cucina, which is a great cafe right in the heart of...
Cucina Pugliese.
Okay. Now, one of the reasons we've done it, because we come here for lunch a lot, and it's somewhat of a celebration because we've just finished our last weekends of auctions. But one of the reasons I wanted to do it here, because I love this window seat, and I've strategically set this whole thing up today where we've got the camera on somewhat of an angle, and you can't see this, but for the first time in 103 episodes, you look tiny. And I look like this really big guy. So I've played that little trick on you. So you thought it was just about having a coffee here, but this is all about making me look big.
You're a big fella, Phil. And I tell you what, Phil, there's so much to talk about. But Cucina Pugliese, now what does that mean?
Because Cafe Cucina Pugliese is the kitchen of the area of Pugliese, I think, in Italy. But anyway, this cafe has been going for 23 years next year.
Almost as long as we have.
This is one of Melbourne's most celebrated Italian restaurants.
It is.
And it's owned by a fellow by the name of Luca Lorusso. And we've been coming here for many, many years, and we love it here. He's pioneered really this style of Italian cooking in Melbourne.
In the Cucina Pugliese style.
He's won many awards, and I've got to tell you, this is a personal favourite of ours. And we think next year we're going to have some cooking demonstrations of Pugliese
Cucina Pugliese. Let's talk about the weekend. We will do some restaurant stuff, but there's lots to get through, Phil. The weekend
one of the best coffees in Melbourne is here, and those little macaroons
are pretty good,
aren't they? Sensational.
Put a bit of a dent in there already, haven't we? 88.5%. Let's put the graphs up. 88.5%. The industry average is 67%. Phil, I actually thought I would work out even in percentages how much better we are than the industry, and we are up by 33% on the industry.
Okay.
So well done to the industry, 67, but come on, Phil, 88.5. That's a celebration.
And to those viewers who have sent us in emails saying a little less boasting, a bit more facts on the marketplace, we do apologise, but it is our last episode for 2013. If you can't boast in your last episode, when can you boast, Gary?
And if you're not going to boast, you may as well get out of real estate, because real estate is about boasting, isn't it, Phil? About good results, about success.
Do you know what was incredible, Gary? The last 2 weeks in a row, we've had shocking Saturdays and brilliant Sundays. But it was like this perfect storm you were talking about right at the start of the show, where we actually had 100% on Saturday. We had 6 out of 6 on Saturday.
Fantastic.
For the first time in a long time, we had the clean sweep on Saturday, which was really good.
Not such a long time, like 2
weeks. Okay, so 3 or 4 weeks, that's a long time in real estate.
We have sold, through the week, we've sold an apartment for $130,000. We've sold the house for in excess of $2 million in Eastern Kilda. So we've had a number of quiet sales as well. We also had our end of year celebration, and I'm hoping that the footage that I think we're going to be able to have is now going to come up on the screen. Now, if you're looking at the screen now, you are seeing our accountant, Mark, on the shoulders of Daniel Rees, one of our salespeople. So you know it's
a good party, Gary, when your company accountant ends up on the shoulders of Daniel Rees at our function.
At our function.
We are well known, Gary, for our functions, aren't we?
We do have big functions.
Our staff know that at the end of each year, some big surprise is coming at them. We've done things from helicopter rides to going to Sydney and doing the Harbour Bridge climb. I think next year we've got to go into planning early next year to make 2014's end of year function something like they've never experienced before.
Well, thank you to my PA Eliza for organising the best party. Everyone just had the wildest time. Some people
have we got any
sunlight? I should say daybreak. I think. Yeah.
Have we got any footage of the band that we had? Because that band is nothing short of amazing. Have a look, if we have, of Lisa Hunt, who I think is probably got the best voice and the best
Franklin of Australia.
It's incredible. She was just unbelievable.
incredible. Let's talk about real estate, Phil, and get into it because it was a great weekend. Some people want to know about the results of the properties we reviewed last week.
Well, let's talk about them then, Gary.
We should. Good idea. I'm glad you came up with it. 2 at 8 Balaclava Road, Phil. The reserve there was $550. A hot auction sold for $645,000.
While we're on that, Gary,
Roses.
that was handled by Lamore Herskowitz from our office,
yeah.
who has just had her best week ever in her real estate career. So congratulations,
Well done,
Lamore. Had a bit of a quiet chat with you at breakfast this morning, and I must say, I was personally thrilled for you.
Yeah, good on you, Lamore. Well done. Best weekend and best year ever in real estate.
Yep.
12 at 3 Celeste court sold before auction, Philip, for $322,000. I'm presuming it's a one-bedroom.
Well
apartment.
done to Lamore and Aviv.
153.
No, not Lamore and Aviv. Leor and Aviv.
It's getting late in the year. 153 Thomas Street, Phil, was undisclosed, sold.
I did the
competitively.
auction there, Gary.
You did, and I saw you.
And
did a good job.
you were there, and we had 3 people
Yes.
bidding there, and 2 people just went straight at it. Didn't even
Yep.
have a chance to refer it to the vendor. We went straight on the market and smashed the reserve, which was great.
We weren't sure that we were going to sell Valerie Street, Philip. The interest was a little bit thin, although it shouldn't have been. But lo and behold,
How
Philip,
good's
we
coffee?
did sell it.
How good's coffee?
It's
I love
great,
the
isn't it?
coffee
$750,000. Wheatley Road is undisclosed. Jeremy did a great auction there. Let's move on to Sunday. Saturday was a big day in real estate, Phil, also, not only for us, but for Craig Stevens, our mate in the West, who sold the home of Julia Giller. And the auction was very well done, although, I've got to tell you, shall we say it or not?
You've got to say it.
Well, I think the auctioneer who has been to see Philip Kingston
Many
do many
times.
auctions and noted your auction style, actually used a few Philip Kingston lines.
So there it is. I got to tell you, I get up on
don't give
Sunday.
him too hard
I
a
get
time,
up on
yeah.
Sunday morning, and there is the whole story about Julia Gillard's house that sells
exactly
for $250,000 over
Well
the
done
reserve.
to Jazz Stevens because they're good guys.
And they talk about the auction lines that the auctioneer has done. And I look at those lines and I say out loud, he's stolen my material.
Well, Julia Gillard, you can have a little bit of a removed, extended thanks to Philip for some of those lines. But
Yeah,
well done.
Julia, you should send us a fee because
you owe
my
us,
lines
Julia.
helped you, Julia, get
Exactly
a record
right.
price.
Yeah.
So
7 at 353 Alma Road, Phil sold for $500,000. Phil, the auction at Chattersley Avenue, that was a beauty.
Wow.
We had, I think, 9 bidders there. That was wow. The reserve was $850, Phil, and you just went and smashed the hell out of it.
I've got to tell you, Gary,
Sold it for
that was
$970,000. Don't cut me off. I'm going to get Jacob, your son, onto you. 970, reserve 850, big result. Tell us about
It was a big result, Gary. And
Now,
you
Blam,
know what?
boast.
To get to the end of a year
Yep.
and have one of your last auctions have 9 bidders, once again, non-referral auction. We had the vendor's reserve, went straight on the market, smashed the reserve. But gee, what a great way to end the year, because normally what happens at the end of a year, everybody's got a bit of fatigue. The buyers have got fatigue, the sellers have got fatigue. Not the agents, of course. We're pumped up and excited and enthusiastic and keep going. And I'm now making a lot of noise in this cafe, so I'll just tone it down a bit. But we did have 9 buyers, and that was just amazing.
Blessington Street, St Kilda did not sell. It was one of 2 properties that you are lucky enough buyers to still purchase because that has been passed in the reserve at $315. Doesn't sound like a lot for that position, Phil. 464 Dandenong Road, Caulfield North, did sell, undisclosed amount. But tell us a bit about the auction.
Well, before I do, I just want to cut in and say one of my favourite dishes. Luca, what's my favourite dish here? It's the ragu. Pappardelle with lamb ragu here is nothing short of sensational.
Cucina pugliese.
In fact, I'm known to come here very quietly
I said that.
on my own, just for 20 minutes. I'm in and out within 30 minutes. I come in,
We get
mineral
through this. It's
water,
gonna go all day.
that dish, and an espresso. I'm out the door. If you want the best pasta dish in Melbourne, that's it.
431
Sorry
Holroyd
about
Ave- 431 Holroyd Avenue. I don't know why that's an undisclosed price because it was such a good auction. Went for so far over the reserve, Philip, more than $100,000 over reserve.
Which
But
one was this? I
price
lost track.
undisclosed.
Which one was
Holroyd
that?
Avenue.
Holroyd Avenue.
305 Balaclava Road, Phil. That was passed in at $1 million and sold afterwards, and I'm very happy for the buyer because they've missed a few times.
Really nice
We knew
people
them.
that bought it.
Lovely people. So well done to you and to the vendors who are delightful people. Sold for $1,175,000.
Gary, I've got to tell you, I'd seen that property online but hadn't been to see it until the
beautiful.
day of the auction.
It's a great house.
It's just stunning home,
Yeah,
really stunning home, and
it's
right
sold
opposite
now.
Caulfield Park.
Yeah.
And for those people that have never ever been to Caulfield Park, because this show is an international show now, so not everybody's been to Caulfield Park. What a
There might be
great!
someone in Sweden that
We
doesn't know
are
about
so
it.
privileged to have in the city of Glenara
Yes.
2 of Melbourne's best parks, being Caulfield Park and
Yes.
Princes Park.
one at 4A Lithgow Avenue, Philip. The reserve on that, it didn't sell. The reserve
Very
on
sharp
that
reserve
is
now.
under, I think, our price guide. 1195, that will sell. That is a buy.
And what a great
That's
property.
A great opportunity for someone.
In
That's
one
a
of
beautiful
Caulfield
property.
North's best streets.
GPTV was shot from there last week.
It was,
Phil.
Gary.
101 at 344 Oron Road, right next to our office, 2 doors away. You did correct me a couple of weeks ago. That got sold, Phil, for $439,500 and as new property, Phil.
Yeah, well, it's a brand new property, Gary.
55 Brady Road was the final auction of the weekend. Adam Josky, well done, sold that one, and reserve or sell price is undisclosed. That is it. Let's talk about this weekend and do a bit of an end of year wrap, Phil.
Before we do, let's
this weekend,
talk.
this week.
I know that we sound like we're pushing this cafe. We have no commercial interest in this restaurant.
Property.
But I want to say that Luca has kindly decided.
Okay, we thanked him. We've recognised him. We've echoed Kachina the whole thing. It's enough.
Gary, he has offered to viewers, the first 2 viewers to email us.
Yes.
Luca has kindly decided to throw in a lunch. A lunch for 2.
Okay. That's good.
So we've got 2 of these lunches for 2.
Right. Yep.
So for the people that first two people that just send a end of year cheerio to Gary and I at ideas@garypeer.com.au, the first 2 people to do that will get a lunch for 2 at Cafe
So
Latte.
there's 4 lunches altogether.
Well, there's
2
4
times 2.
individual lunches,
2
but
people,
2 people.
By 2.
2 people get to
That's
go
generous.
individually.
To have some
2 people go together, but we've got 2 of those. So the-
cucina pugliese. Auctions this week, Phil. We've
Thanks,
got a
Luca, for that.
6:30. Thank you. Got a 6:30 at 34 and 34A Alexander Street. Tell us a bit about that, Phil. It's on Wednesday, a twilight auction.
Gary, I love these twilight auctions.
lovely,
In fact, I had a property of my own that I sold via a twilight
did?
auction, so I'm a great believer in them.
You are.
And one of the benefits of a twilight auction, viewers, is that if you think about the weekend's activity, sometimes anywhere from 800 to 1,500 auctions on the weekend. If you have a Wednesday or a Thursday night twilight auction, you're one of 1, 1 of 2, 1 of 5. So got a great festive atmosphere. That is a great property. It is a 2-storey maisonette, so there's 2 of them. Yes. So we're selling the whole property as one. It's a development opportunity because it's a big block of land. Yes. There's land at the back and subject to council approval. You could keep the 2 at the front, build something at the back, or convert the whole thing to a house, or perhaps subject to council approval, pull it down and build something fabulous.
Phil, on Thursday,
Subject to council approval, of course.
Thursday, your last auction is at 6 p.m, Phil, before you hop on that big bird and head off to Paris.
Yes, I am going to.
While I'm staying in Melbourne. Don't worry about
snowing in Paris as we speak.
400 snowing right down the Eiffel Tower you'll be. 481 Hawthorne Road, Caulfield South, Philip. Daniel Rees, tell us a little bit about this property. Do you know anything about it?
I do, Gary.
Yeah.
It's an
Good
Art
on you.
Deco
Here it is.
single-fronted semi
It is.
with a 2-storey renovation at the back. And this property has been renovated like something I've never seen before. A real Art Deco influence, Gary, and it was renovated by a man that did it and just put his checkbook on the table and said, whatever it costs to do, I'm going to spend. And he did the most incredible job. These people have owned it, lived it, loved it, and now reluctantly selling, but an incredible house.
And that sees out the year for our auctions, but we will be here through the break, servicing our vendors, servicing our buyers. If you want to purchase from us, if you want to sell with us, we will be around. We've got a big team and there's a lot of teamwork.
Do you know
there.
what, Gary?
So, we'll be working, Phil.
Interesting on that, because how life has changed.
Yes.
So I'm sitting here with my iPhone and my iPad, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going overseas, I don't mind saying, for 5 weeks, so I'm having a big holiday away.
5 weeks?
Yeah, I know, I didn't tell you that. But between my iPhone and my iPad...
I know you go for 5 weeks.
And I'm happy to do this. I'm not one of these people that goes
5
away on
weeks.
holidays and
What a
wants
partner.
to do nothing.
Yeah.
I like to be connected.
Yeah.
So my clients, they can text me, they can email me.
Yeah.
I'm, you know...
They can fly over to Paris and meet with
At
you.
the end of the day,
Or Valdezir. You'll meet them at Valdezir.
I like working, but I like working while I'm on holidays via the internet, via my iPhone. So it doesn't matter where you go anymore while I'm coming down those slopes in Valdezir.
You'll be doing deals on the phone.
I may well be putting a deal together.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, they won't need to speak to you, Philip, because plenty of other people in our organisation
Oh, no.
on the
I'm
ground.
so important, Gary.
No, you're really not.
No,
In fact, they'll
people
prefer-
can't live without
They'll
me.
prefer not to speak to you, I'm
Okay.
sure. Let's talk about the year, Phil. Let's wrap it up before we go, because it has been an interesting year. And let's have a look at this graph, Philip. It's big enough on the screen now.
Well, we can bring a graph up on screen now.
We
can't
can do that.
Okay,
We have
good.
the technology for it, Phil. And the year started off with a bang, Phil, with our clearance rates in February at in excess of 80%. So certainly 2013 did start off very strong. Then it sort of settled down. This is our clearance rates in that kind of mid to high 70s really happened in June, July, when the results became into the 85% clearance rate. So that's a real sign that the market got involved and engaged. Interest rates started to, of course, decline around that time. People understood that property prices were on the move and started to jump in. Settled down a little bit through the early part of spring in August, September, and then you'll see in October a strong start. November, big volume. The clearance rates dropped a little bit under that 75%. But what a big finish in December, Phil, north of 80% for us. And of course, all through the year, pretty much, we've been above the industry standard average. So we've seen a year of growth, we've seen a year of property prices increase, we've seen a year of volume. So it's been very exciting for buyers and sellers alike.
If you think in terms of a market perspective, 2013 will go down as the year that the whole market changed.
Recovered.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it's going to be interesting next year because our forward bookings, because we always viewers finish off the year not only selling what we've had, but concentrating on building our book for February and March.
Absolutely.
Our forward bookings, I think we said in our end of year breakfast with the sales team yesterday that our forward bookings are 25% up on the same time last year.
So it looks
and
like
that's kind of an interesting barometer.
There's going to be some good opportunities for buyers to be able to secure some new things, Phil.
And if you think about just the financial environment for property, interest rates are at an all-time historical low in Australia. So it's a great time to be trading up. It's a great time to be buying an investment, particularly for investors where they're finding with deposit rates so low, the return they're getting on their investments in terms of property, buying a property, is similar with money at call. So there's a really strong reason to be an investor next year because not only are you getting similar rates to deposit rates, but you've got the potential for capital growth.
Absolutely. Lock your money away where it can go up, Philip.
Absolutely,
and hedge against inflation as well.
And we are great believers in buying residential property for long-term investment. And I think we should make the point that property is a long-term investment. You don't buy it with an expectation of selling it in a year or two. But when I look at all of the clients that we've serviced over the years, the ones that bought property and just held on to us ended up going on to strong wealth creation.
That's for sure, Phil. The highlight of the year, of course, probably didn't get any bigger or better than winning the large residential agent
what a thrill that was.
Award, so that probably is the highlight of the year.
Swept the night that night, didn't we?
Stay tuned because we are actually nominated in March to the Australian Real Estate Awards where we will compete on a national level.
So we're going to the Nationals, Gary.
So we may well be awarded the large residential real estate agent of Australia, not just Victoria. So
that's not bad for two naughty little boys that had a vision to start a business.
And bad results at school. So thanks everybody again for your support and for tuning into GPTV. We're getting so much interesting feedback, and GPTV itself has of course been the reason for a number of awards that we've recognised both at the REIV and also outside. So it has been a very exciting tool.
Can I just say on that, we'd love some feedback about what you want us to do next year with GPTV. We're going to introduce a cooking segment. Luca has kindly offered to do that. So that might have some legs, or it might die after the first episode. We never know.
Discussion, consultation on that one, but
just send us in your ideas because we do like to act on the ideas, and many of the best ideas for GPTV this year have come out from viewer feedback, Gary.
It has.
And I'm going to take this opportunity, Gary, to say thank you.
You've always loved me.
Thank you again. Well, I have always loved you.
Phil.
Since the first day I met you on our temple camp when we were 12 years old, I looked at you across the bus and I thought to myself, there's a nice guy that I'm going to be friends with for the rest of my life.
Indeed.
And it was actually the guy that was sitting next to you, but you know, he tragically moved to another city. So it ended up being you. But I want to say, what a great partner you are. What great things we continue to do together.
Feelings mutual.
And I look forward to many successes next year. And viewers, thank you for watching GPTV and making it the success that it is. Have a great summer, and we'll see you in 2014.
GPTV goes on holidays. We'll be back in early February. We'll look forward to seeing you then, but we are around for all your real estate needs in the meantime. Have a happy and safe new year and a great 2014. Cheers.
See you next year.
Bye.